All right, so you're looking to unlock fluency, huh? Want to make English feel like second nature?
Yeah, who doesn't?
Well, you've come to the right place. We've got this awesome blog post just jam-packed with strategies and resources, all backed by, get this, science.
Science, huh? I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah, it's all about learning English faster. And trust me, we're going to uncover some serious aha moments today as we dig deep into how to boost that English fluency.
Let's do it.
So right off the bat, this blog post dives headfirst into the idea of immersion. It's like they're saying, hey, surround yourself with English like 24/7.
Makes sense to me. I mean, it's all about getting that constant exposure, right?
Exactly. They're talking movies, music, podcasts. Oh, and get this. They even give a shout out to, wait for it, Learn English with Mr. Concord for some top-notch immersive listening.
Nice plug, but it's not just about passively absorbing it, is it? You can't just have English playing in the background and expect to become fluent, right?
You hit the nail on the head. The post makes it crystal clear that it's about actively using the language, like grabbing every single opportunity to speak, even if you're still a bit shaky on your grammar or pronunciation.
Yeah, it's like jumping into the deep end, I guess.
Kind of. Speaking of which, what did you think about the post recommending apps like HelloTalk for connecting with native speakers?
I love that idea. It reminds me of when I was learning Spanish. I was so fixated on memorizing all these grammar rules that I was like terrified to actually open my mouth and speak.
Oh, I've been there.
But then I started using an app to chat with native speakers and realized, you know what? Making mistakes is all part of the process.
It really is.
Actually, that's when I started seeing the most improvement.
It's like that fear of messing up. It can really hold you back. But this blog post is all about embracing those mistakes.
Right.
It's like they're saying, hey, mistakes are your friends.
They really are.
Now, get this. This is where it gets really cool. The post actually goes into the science behind all of this whole language learning thing. Have you ever heard of neuroplasticity?
Neuroplasticity. Is that like how our brains can like rewire themselves?
Bingo. It's like every time you use your brain, it's actually changing its structure, forming new connections. So the more you practice English, the more your brain adapts and becomes more efficient at processing the language.
Wow, that's wild. It's like our brains are constantly evolving.
They are. And speaking of evolving, the post talks a lot about two super effective learning methods: active recall and spaced repetition. Active recall is all about like testing yourself on what you've learned, forcing your brain to really work for it.
Right. So instead of just passively reading something, you're actively trying to remember it.
Exactly. And then there's spaced repetition. Have you ever used that?
Oh, yeah. Spaced repetition is all about reviewing material at specific intervals. I think the post mentioned a tool called Anki for that.
Yes. It helps you space out those review sessions so that you're reinforcing those neural pathways, those connections in your brain, just when you're about to forget them.
It's all about timing. I used Anki when I was studying for my Japanese proficiency exam. And let me tell you, it was a game changer. Yeah. I'd create flashcards with sentences and practice them regularly, and Anki's algorithm would make sure I reviewed them right before I was about to forget them.
That's awesome. So you're living proof that it works.
Totally.
While these techniques sound incredibly useful, the post also points out some things we should avoid, like cramming, for example. It really stresses that consistent practice, a little bit every day, trumps trying to learn everything at once. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Cramming is it's like trying to build a house in a day. It's not going to be stable.
Yeah, it's just not sustainable.
Learning a language takes time, it takes effort, and it definitely takes consistency.
100%. The post also warns against passive listening, like just having a TV show on in the background without really engaging with the language.
All right, you have to be an active learner, paying attention to new words, trying to use them in your conversations. You got to be all in.
Absolutely. And I'd imagine that same idea applies to grammar too. It's not just about memorizing a bunch of rules, right? You need to see how it all works in real life conversations.
Exactly. Context is everything. You need to see how the language is actually used to really understand it.
That's a great point. Now, while the post is all about the benefits of immersion, it doesn't really delve into the challenges people might face when they can't just up and move to an English-speaking country.
Right. Not everyone has that luxury.
So do you have any advice for those who are trying to create that immersive environment without actually being in an English-speaking country?
That's a great question. Even if you're not physically immersed, there are tons of ways to create that environment for yourself. Online language exchange groups, finding English-speaking friends online, even just switching your phone and computer settings to English. It's all about finding those little pockets of English in your daily life.
Those little hacks can make a big difference. And the post also, I really like how it emphasized the importance of goal setting. Having those clear goals, whether it's acing an exam or just feeling more confident chatting with friends, it can really keep you motivated, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. But it's not just about setting any old goals. It's about making them specific and achievable.
Right, like bite-sized chunks that you can actually wrap your head around.
Exactly. Instead of saying, I want to be fluent in English, you could break it down into smaller, more manageable goals. Like, I want to be able to have a 5-minute conversation about my hobbies in English, or I want to read one English news article every day.
I love that. Now, before we wrap things up, I wanted to touch on what the post said about language learning apps. Apps like Duolingo and Memrise, they could be super helpful for making learning fun and interactive, but did you find them useful in your language learning journey?
Oh, they were the lifesaver for me, especially for building vocabulary and getting a handle on basic grammar.
Yeah, they can be really engaging.
But it's super important to remember that apps are just one tool in your language learning toolbox. You got to combine them with other methods like reading, speaking, and listening to authentic English.
Mix it up. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
So, if we were to sum up all this amazing information, it seems like the key takeaway is that learning English quickly and effectively is all about finding what clicks for you and then just being consistent, sticking with it.
Couldn't said it better myself. This blog post has given you all the tools. Now it's your turn to put them to work.
Take action, people. You've got this. And on that note, what resonated with you most today? Which technique are you most excited to try out?
I'm excited to hear what everyone takes away from this.
Me too. And here's a final thought to ponder. The post talks about surrounding yourself with English. What if you took it a step further? Like, create your own English challenge. Maybe dedicate 30 minutes a day to only speaking English, or try writing a short story in English once a week. Just a little something to keep that momentum going.
I love it.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Happy learning, everyone.
See you next time.